The fight was almost over, and I was losing. My body was tired and hurt. 3 of my 6 legs would not move. My left arm no longer worked. Every breath felt heavy, like breathing through smoke. Above me stood Ferox, the strongest fighter I had ever faced. Everyone called him the Unbroken. For a long time, I thought this name meant no one could ever defeat him. Lying there, tired and hurt, I began to wonder if it meant something else. Maybe it meant he was never allowed to stop. Maybe whoever built him this way never let him rest, not once. My name is Ixara. I am the queen of the Sereth Hive. That day, I was about to fail my people in the simplest way a queen can fail them. I was about to lose. Let me explain why this fight was happening. Every 4 years, a powerful group called the Ordinate calls every small world under its rule to a great arena. This event is called the Reckoning. Each world must send its leader to fight alone against the Ordinate's strongest champion. For as long as anyone could remember, that champion had always been Ferox. If a leader fought well, their world was treated a little better for the next 4 years. Lower taxes, fewer harsh rules. If a leader fought poorly, their world lost even more freedom. And if a leader could not continue fighting at all, their whole world could lose everything at once. My mother lost the use of one arm fighting Ferox. Her mother lost her life fighting him. My hive spent many years slowly rebuilding after that loss. Every queen before me had walked into this same arena, knowing exactly what waited there. I was not weak. I had trained for this fight since I was very young, every single day. But no leader had ever beaten Ferox, not once, in over 100 years. By the time we had been fighting for what felt like forever, I understood why. Ferox never grew tired. Every hit I landed on him seemed to make him stronger instead of weaker, as if nothing ever truly reached him the way it reached the rest of us. On the morning of the match, before I entered the tunnel that led to the arena floor, Sam found me alone and wished me well, the way he did before every reckoning. He never had much to say. That day, he simply rested his hand briefly against the side of my head, the way members of my own hive greeted each other, and told me he would be watching. I did not think much of it at the time. I had heard those same quiet words from him many times before. High above the arena floor sat rows of seats, one section for every world under Ordinate rule. Every leader was forced to come and watch, so they would remember what happened to anyone who grew too proud or too hopeful. I knew this crowd well without even turning to look, because I had spent my whole life learning to notice small things while I fought. I could hear the soft clicking of the Ashkevi people in their seats. I could feel the heavy silence of the Thrun, who almost never made a sound. And closest to the arena floor, in the cheapest seats, sat a small group of humans. The humans had lived with my hive for 3 generations. Long ago, my mother found a group of human refugees with nowhere left to go. She could have turned them away and avoided all the trouble that came after. Instead, she gave them a home. My hive paid a heavy price for that choice for many years, but none of us ever regretted it. I still remember one small moment from those early years, though I was very young myself at the time. A human child, thin and quiet, sat alone at the edge of our nursery halls, too shy to come near any of us. My mother did not force him to join the others. She simply left a small amount of food nearby each day and waited. It took him almost a full season to finally sit beside her. That child grew into a quiet, steady young man named Sam. Sam worked closely with my hive as an adult, mostly helping with paperwork, records, and the small tasks nobody else wanted. He always came to watch the reckoning, sitting quietly among the other humans, taking careful notes, as if it were simply another workday. Almost no one paid him much attention. He was small, quiet, and easy to forget in a crowded room. What most people did not know was that Sam spent many evenings after work studying old recordings of every past reckoning fight Ferox had ever taken part in. Some of the other humans gently teased him about it, asking why he cared so much about something that had nothing to do with him. Sam never gave them a clear answer. He simply kept watching, night after night, as if searching for something important that everyone else had missed. Back in the arena, Ferox raised his powerful arm high above me. I understood that his next move would end our fight. In that strange, calm moment right before an ending, I thought only of home. I thought of the 400 young ones still growing safely inside their nursery combs, waiting to be born into a steady world. I had promised my mother's memory that our hive would remain strong by the time they arrived. Now, in front of every world gathered in that arena, I was about to break that promise. There seemed to be nothing left to do but quietly accept what was coming. That was the exact moment Sam stood up. He did not shout my name. He did not give some dramatic speech, even though people would later tell this story as if he had. He simply rose from his seat, in a section where standing was strictly forbidden, pulled free from someone trying to stop him, and jumped over the low wall separating the crowd from the fighters below. The entire arena seemed to take one breath together. It was a strange, heavy silence, like the pause right before a large wave reaches the shore. No one had ever crossed that wall without first being named an official fighter. Breaking this rule carried serious consequences, not only for the person breaking it, but sometimes for their entire world too. Under ordinate law, one person's actions could bring real trouble down on everyone connected to them. Somewhere above us, an ordinate official was already calling for guards to stop him. But guards are trained to notice people who look dangerous. Sam did not look dangerous at all. He looked exactly like what the ordinate had always claimed humans truly were. Small, soft, and no real threat to anyone. He crossed the open arena floor faster than I ever imagined. 2 legs alone could carry someone. Watching him come closer, I understood he was not running away from danger. He was running straight toward it. He was running toward Ferox. I have thought back to that moment many times since. Even now, I am still not entirely sure what Sam planned to do once he reached us. I do not think even he fully knew. He carried no weapon of any kind. What he carried instead was something far less obvious. Years of quietly studying every fight Ferox had ever been part of. He never studied these recordings the way a soldier studies an enemy, cold and calculating. He studied them the way someone studies a danger that might one day threaten a person they care about deeply. Through all those quiet evenings of careful watching, Sam had noticed one small weak point that nobody else had ever found. There was a narrow opening near the back of Ferox's head, left there so heat could escape his body during long fights. It was small. It was easy to miss completely. But Sam had never once missed it. Sam was not strong enough to reach that opening by himself. He never believed he could be. What he actually had was speed, a small broken piece from my own body lying nearby, and enough courage to use both at exactly the right moment, just as Ferox was already moving to finish me. Ferox's move landed exactly where I had been only a moment earlier. I was no longer there, because Sam had pushed into me with all his strength half a second before, moving the 2 of us safely out of the way together. For the first time in our whole long fight, Ferox overreached and lost his footing for just a moment, leaving him briefly open. The small vents near the back of his head opened wide from the effort of that one huge motion. I did not plan what happened next. It simply happened. I noticed that Sam had been hurt a little in the fall, though thankfully not badly. Seeing him hurt at all, something inside me that had stayed quiet since I was very young suddenly woke up, and it refused to go back to sleep. Using every part of my body that still worked, I reached toward that small open gap before Ferox could recover. I did not want to end his life. Even in that moment, some part of me remembered that he had likely never chosen this path for himself either. But I needed to stop him, and I believed this was the only way left. I was right. Ferox's whole huge body suddenly went still, and he sank to the ground, defeated at last, in almost the same way I had nearly fallen only moments before. The whole arena went silent. I had never heard it that quiet before, and I have never heard it quite that quiet again since. I often wondered, in quiet moments away from the arena, what Ferox had been before he became what he was. No records existed of his life before the Ordinate remade him into their champion. No one knew which world he had come from, or whether that world still existed at all. Watching him fall that day, I did not feel triumph. I felt only a strange, quiet sadness for whoever he might have been, long before any of this began. Even now, I still do not fully understand why the guards did not simply remove Sam from the arena right away. I have had a long time to think it over, and I believe it is because no one, not the officials, not the guards, not hundreds of years of ordinate rules, had ever imagined someone doing what Sam had just done. No one expected a queen's own quiet helper to risk everything, rather than simply sit and watch her lose. There was no rule ready for a moment, exactly like this one. I did not give anyone time to invent one on the spot. I stood as tall as my tired body would allow, and I spoke loudly enough for every section of that arena to hear. I spoke the oldest words a Seraph queen is allowed to say, that Sam was family to my hive, chosen and fully claimed, and that family always stands beside their queen whenever she truly needs them. These words were not officially true the moment I first said them, but they became completely true the instant I spoke them out loud. The human section of the crowd broke into a sound I had never heard from them before. It was not cheering, not at first. It was a quiet, steady sound, like something held tightly for a long time finally being allowed to relax. Then the Ashkevi joined in, tapping their arms together in their own kind of applause. Then, most surprising of all, even the silent Thrun made noise too, something I had never once heard them do in my entire life until that moment. Soon every section in the stands was making noise together, so loudly that the officials calling for order could not be heard at all. The Ordinate did not take anything away from my hive that year. They could not with every world in that arena having witnessed what happened. I feel certain they are already quietly writing new rules to make sure nothing like this happens again. Let them write all the rules they want. I have learned something important since that day, something I do not think the Ordinate fully understands even now, something none of us truly understood about humans before that moment. Humans do not pause to calculate whether a fight is worth the risk. They only ask one simple question: is someone they care about currently in danger? After the fight ended, Sam and I sat together quietly outside the arena, while healers checked on both of us. He stayed quiet for a while, and so did I. Eventually, he gently asked if I was upset with him for breaking so many rules. I told him honestly that I had never felt more grateful for anything in my life. He gave me a small, tired smile, and said he would probably do the same thing again, if he ever had to. I believed him completely. Word of what happened spread quickly across many worlds, still under Ordinate control. Some leaders were too afraid to speak of it openly, worried about drawing unwanted attention. Others quietly shared the story among their own people instead, passing it along like a small, precious secret worth keeping. For the first time in longer than anyone could remember, many small worlds under Ordinate rule slowly began wondering whether their situation could ever truly change. Later that same day, one of the Ashkevi leaders found me while I rested. She did not say much either. She simply looked at me for a long moment, then asked quietly whether any of her own people might ever be allowed to do what Sam had done. I did not have a good answer for her. I still do not. But I remember thinking that the question itself was new, and that new questions have a way of slowly changing old worlds. Back home, my hive welcomed us both with a quiet celebration. There were no loud parties, no long speeches. Instead, every member of my hive came, one by one, to stand near Sam for a moment, offering their own small sign of thanks in their own quiet way. Sam later told me it was one of the strangest and most wonderful afternoons of his entire life. He said he had spent so many years feeling like a small, forgettable part of the hive, and for the first time, he understood that he had never been small to any of us at all. I asked him once, not long after that day, why he had studied those old recordings so closely, for so many years, long before anyone thought it would matter. He thought about it for a while before answering. He said he had simply never been able to sit still and watch someone he cared about walk toward danger without at least trying to understand it first. He said it did not feel brave to him at the time. It felt like the only thing that made any sense. I have carried that answer with me ever since. I think it explains something important about humans that the Ordinate has never understood, and perhaps never will. Humans do not wait for permission to care about someone. They do not check whether that person belongs to their own kind, their own world, or their own family before deciding to help. They simply notice danger, notice someone they love standing inside it, and act. I honestly do not know exactly what will happen next. I do not know whether one brave moment inside one arena can truly change something as vast as the entire Ordinate. But I do know this much for certain. Before that day, I believed my hive's fate depended only on my own strength. After that day, I finally understood that real strength sometimes comes from unexpected places, from unexpected friendships, and from ordinary people brave enough to stand up exactly when standing up seems to make no sense at all. Sam still works closely with my hive today, just as he always has. He still quietly helps with paperwork and small tasks nobody else wants. Most days, he remains quiet and easy to overlook, just like before that fight ever happened. But now, everyone throughout my hive, and many people far beyond it, know exactly what he is capable of whenever someone he cares about needs him. My 400 young ones will soon hatch into a hive that remains strong and steady. When they are old enough to understand, I will tell them this whole story myself. I will tell them that our hive survived not only because of my own strength, but because of a quiet human who once sat alone at the edge of our nursery halls, waiting patiently for someone to welcome him in, and who grew into someone who would run across an entire arena for the family that had once done the same for him. And every 4 years, when the reckoning comes again, I no longer walk into that arena believing I am completely alone. I know that somewhere in the crowd, watching closely and quietly as always, sits someone ready to stand up again, without hesitation, if he ever must. That, I have slowly come to believe, is the truest strength of all.